Everybody. Welcome to Supernatural Radio. This is your host, Royce the Redneck Radio Man. I'm coming to you from Talk Now Radio, which is a listener-supported radio station, same as Supernatural Radio is, I do believe. And today we're going to be talking to Tommy Hawksblood, and we're going to be discussing psychic abilities. And today he was on Revolution Radio, where me and him were both a host at, discussing the same topic, and they had a server issue occur, so he was not able to finish his subject on that. So I asked him if he wanted to bring it over here while this server is up and finish it over here so we can put it on YouTube. So, Tommy, how you doing today?
Greetings. I'm glad you're feeling a little better. That's always the right step, and it's nice to hear your voice on the air. I'm doing fine. I'm in Hawaii. Lots of things going on in Hawaii. Just yesterday, I saw the worst chemtrails ever. The whole sky was covered with chemtrails. It was so bad. My partner woke up throwing up the next morning. So there's a lot of the most beautiful place in the world is still being attacked by ignorance. And I'm sorry to say that. And one thing I just bring out real fast for everybody, the earthquakes in Japan are dangerous. They've been going on for 2.5 weeks every day, 5.0 up to 6.9. Fukushima is leaking, so I don't know what we're going to do about it. I mean, you people that pray, but people that want to try to get involved any way they can, think about it, check it out, because we are in trouble.
Sounds like it. Now, you was mentioning that you were moving over there again, and that you're very happy to be moving back to your old island, your homeland, I guess you might want to call it. Wanted to tell you I'm glad for you that you're going to be able to get in there, but you're not too certain you're going to be able to stay, are you?
Well, here's the way I'm going to live my life. I'm staying where I'm moving. If lava comes over me, I guess I'll be petrified by lava. But we moved from there to spend 6 months away, and then the lava never came there. It went all different directions now, so I'm moving back. It was the most beautiful place you could live. The only thing it doesn't have is a stream or a lake, but it's right near the hot ponds. It's near water, so if you wanted to get to the water, you could any day. So it's private, secluded, forest, farming, the whole thing there. And I miss it. I mean, I had interactions with a UFO just 6 months ago. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on there. And it's quiet. And I'm really looking forward to moving back there.
Well, is there any possibility that there's any one group out there that might have an axe to grind or a reason to promote false propaganda about the lava flow?
No.
To get everybody out of there for them to do something while nobody was there?
Oh, no, they showed it every single day, and it kept getting closer and closer right to the main highway. They built these giant blockades around the telephone poles, stones and metal fencing, and dig these trenches, put these walls up, and then it just stopped right there.
Huh.
And then it froze. And now it's spurting out in other places further up the mountain, coming down different parts of the mountain.
It could be a good thing. It could have been building like a natural dam against future lava flow.
It's, nature does what it wants. People will never understand it. They'll try, they'll play with it. But to truly understand what nature wants to do and what man wants to do, man builds streams, dams, and blockades water and floods water. The nature doesn't naturally do that, and then it changes the environment. And now with fracking, blasting holes in the ground, we're causing serious problems to the earth. I mean, people say Mother Earth and we're in touch with Earth. I don't think too many people understand what's going on. Or I don't think they really want to. They I would use the word hide from it. And I say people don't like truth, especially if it doesn't sound like what they want to hear. So the topic that I started to get into was psychic abilities, and I mentioned good or bad. What are they? Are they good? Are they all good? Are they bad? Can they be bad? Well, the way I would word it real simply is it can be used both ways. Anything could be used good or bad. It could be beneficial or it could be hurtful. And I can name a lot of cults and religions that use like Santeria and voodoo, witchcraft, when they use power directly to hurt or influence somebody else. And that's a psychic invasion of somebody's own spiritual freedom and individuality. So, yeah, it can be used badly. If you're a psychic reader and you go to the casino and win, I don't know. I would consider, depending what you do with that money, would be how bad or good it is. I'll get into that later because there's a real thing I want to say about that. But the most important one that I see that people think, to be spiritual and psychic, you have to be able to heal people. And I think that's what they consider the most important one out of them all. And I would debate anybody on that issue because
I
healing
didn't
is,
think it was a necessity to be able to heal to be psychic at all.
well, when you go to a psychic, you ask them to see what's wrong and then see if they could heal you and things. That comes along with the ride now. Spiritual is very close to psychic in a lot of people's minds, uh, and it depends your definition of spiritual, which we could do 10 shows on because people have this abstract idea of what spiritual means, and I don't think any of them really pertain to God itself.
Which gets into people making every word in the dictionary subjective. And once you do that, of course, there's no set language.
I'm very bad with words. I don't agree with many words. I think a person that writes a definition of a word, who gave them the power to do that? I mean, when you write a car, you're looking at a car and you're trying to write a definition of it. But what about a person that writes about God, spirit, soul, death? I mean, what do they know about it to write a definition about it? Especially if they didn't have any real experiences dying and things like that. And even then, if you have one death experience, doesn't mean you're totally aware of what the definition of dying is. So words to me are just really secondary to what they feel and the emotions. As far back as Atlantis, which I'm aware of my past lives, but they didn't speak much. They spoke very little. It was all direct thought perception. And I mean, we use those words now, but very few people have that ability to understand somebody without them going through the words and the emotions to say, well, this is that or that. The energy is already there, and it manifests through the vocal cords. So you can perceive that energy if you're gifted or learn how to work with that. So these words that are created have very little connection to the actual emotion and experience of what it's talking about, especially when you come to spiritual words and spiritual definition. Soul. I mean, how many people could write a definition of soul? Take it to another level. How many people can write the real definition of what love truly is or what we perceive it to be? And it comes out to what we perceive it to be, right?
Pretty much. In the Greeks, they had somewhat 300 different words for the word love.
Yeah. And which one of them really pertains to what it really is? Well, we break things down so much, we don't even understand what it is anymore. Especially with the word love, which is considered the most important word on the planet. And then you got the next word, probably freedom. People want a word that means something that's impossible, and it wouldn't help the world if it did happen. If there was 100% total freedom on this planet, you don't think there would be much chaos? You think everybody would be leaving everybody alone? I don't think so. So we take these words, we put them on a pedestal and say, well, that's an important word. To who and for what? What can it do? Well, we can skip healing if you want, but I consider that a psychic ability. Psychic healers, and that's what people do. I mean, when you go to other countries and they do those psychic operations and they pull guts out of a person and things like that, you can believe it or not. I was a magician for half of my life. I learned just about every trick there is, how to do them, and when you relate to what these people do for winning people over as being a spiritualist, they use magic. Even Sai Baba did magic to win people to follow him. So people want to believe in everything so bad, anything that sounds good. So if I say learning how to be psychic is going to make you a good spiritual being, you'll be able to help everybody. Everybody wants to be it. But if you say you're going to learn how to invade everybody's personal spiritual self, it doesn't sound as good. So yes, the words change, but the meanings get twisted to the way we think now. I guess when the Bible was written, the words meant a little bit different. They didn't have anything that we have right now. So the concept of words didn't mean the same to them, and they lived different. So I mean, you say a flush toilet bowl and things like that. What's that supposed to be to a person in a caveman time?
Yeah, they didn't even have a toilet bowl yet.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, oh, and then somebody created a toilet bowl. But things that don't get created, like soul, spirit, and angels and things, it's translation.
Oh, I got it. They invented a toilet bowl so they could use the word. No,
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Tommy. I just had to go there.
No, when they created a wheel, he go, oh, a wheel, let's make a wheel. And they made a ring, and they rolled it. Oh, a ring can roll. uh, but seriously, there's a lot of words that we deal with outside of just healing. In the psychic worlds, there's different abilities, and I'd say different levels. And sadly, I spent my whole life working with psychics. I must have dealt with over at least 125 or maybe up to maybe 500 personally directly. And I only met two that I considered very gifted in what they say they are. I mean, I went to supposedly really famous psychics to ask them to do something for me, and they said they couldn't do it. I said, well, you can go in the inner worlds and look and see. Well, I'm just asking you to do that. Oh, no, you're asking me to look for somebody special? That's complicated. If it was my brother, you could look for it, but if it's somebody else, you can't. So yeah, I proved, I mean, not because I wanted to. I was like Houdini, always trying to find truth to help me get closer to what I want to know. Not what I don't want to know, but what I truly, really want to experience. Houdini spent the last 10 years of his life trying to find a true psychic, one that could do what they say they did. Everyone he came across was a fake. Now, the amazing Randy followed in his footsteps, but he offers $1 million for anybody to prove that they're psychic. Yes, it has to be specific boundaries and everything around it, because magic is done fake and there's no boundaries, and you could do a lot of things to make it look like it's really happening. So yeah, I became not an atheist. I believe in psychic abilities. I had them, and I used different ones, so they're real. But learning how to use them, like I said originally, good or bad. I mean, is it the right way to do it or the wrong way to use it? And when we start into, let's take a word, astral projection. I'm sure people understand that it means getting out of your body some way and projecting yourself somewhere. The other word that relates to that is remote viewing. But I would strongly suggest remote viewing is closer to what people do. Remote viewing means when you step out of your body in consciousness, you place your consciousness wherever you want it, and then you look around in that space and you see things there. That's basically what remote viewing is. And I say that's what astral projection for most people is as well. But truly, astral means astral body. Your astral body is not in your physical body. I mean, people could debate that. All I'm saying, when you're in an astral plane, you're in your astral body. So it's being able to project into that body that dwells within the astral plane. And sure, you can do incredible things, and it's different and great and everything, but it doesn't pertain to the physical world. You don't need your astral body to walk around on the physical planet.
So if it doesn't pertain to the physical world, astral projection means you would not be remote viewing somebody over in, say, Germany, with in your astral body. You can only do it in your consciousness.
See, the people that are into astral projection will say, well, I levitated in my astral body, flew over there, and then I looked down in my astral body, came back. See, it's a contradictory of ideas, or it's a twisting of ideas. Your astral body is your self as soul in your body that you dwell in the astral plane. So in the physical body, you dwell in your physical body, and it has a soul that lives within this body. But if the soul separates permanently from the body dies. And people don't want to deal with another word, which is out there, the silver cord. Oh, I don't see it. I don't know. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But there is a connection that keeps the body the soul, the astral body to the physical world. Because if you just left your body, went up into the astral plane, how do you think you would find your way back? You suddenly know the map of the astral world, and I go through this hole, through that, there, and I get right back to my body? No, it doesn't happen that way. And that's why the silver cord was created. But when people say, oh, it doesn't exist, well, tell me you can go to China right now and know where you're going to go and do without going on your computer, without pulling up a map. Tell me you know where the streets go and who's on the end of the streets, and you don't. So people take things in the simplest form, make it mean whatever they want it to do. Astral projection is a great thing to learn. It's a starting point for you to become aware that you can move out of this body. And it's the starting point of soul's awareness, and a very important place to start. I mean, when you have an out-of-body experience, it's not astral astral experience, it's out of body, meaning soul's looking at itself connected to the body. It's still connected. So in that time frame, you can experience multiple things.
Which is why they have the two definitions of OB and astral projection.
Right. So we've been dabbling with these words. People are abusing them greatly now to mean what they want. And it's easy to take a word that has a definition and just mold it a little and fit it into my definition. Just take one phrase out of the Bible. Give it to 20 different ministers and priests to translate it. You're going to get a different story from every single one of them. So it's interpretation is very critical to a word. Even an orange. An orange is orange colored. It's round. You cut it open. It has seeds. But what does it taste like? How do you describe what it tastes like? You're going to compare it to something else. And if that person never had that something else, they still don't know what an orange tastes like.
So the frame of reference is the hard thing to get.
Yeah, the experience of eating it and tasting it. Then you know what it tastes like. So when somebody says they had an out-of-body experience or writes about an out-of-body experience, if they didn't have it, they don't know what the person's talking about. Yeah, they take those words and put them together and it makes a sentence. Oh, that's what it means. But what's it mean really? When a person writes a song, they're just words. But when a person writes the song, I mean, in general, not if he's doing drugs or just crazy, partying, whatever, but somebody that's seriously writing a song, it has meaning, it has emotion, it has thought, it has experience in it. So to tap into that, it's not that easy. I mean, some singers make it so that you can really ride that wave of energy and touch what they're trying to say. And to me, that's a good musician or singer. Because even if it's a simple sentence, if you can follow the energy, other than, well, I went to the store. Yeah, we know you went to the store. And miracles happened. What miracles? What's a miracle to you? That's what I'm saying. These words make things so simple, and mankind just wants to forget the truth behind a lot of it. And especially when it comes to religion, and let's not use those words. They're not real. Those aren't real. The religions believe more in angels, and they kind of like displace demons or devils like they're not real anymore. The Pope comes out and says there's no such thing as hell. Imagine that. Really? And then there's no such thing as demons. Oh, really? Then why are you hiring people to do exorcisms and everything else? So when you say things that
because there's good money in it.
Oh, well, yeah, we did away with the demons. We did away with hell. Oh, the other thing he said, Adam and Eve is not a real story. Well, let's just erase the Bible. And I told him, I wrote him letters directly. I said, why don't you write a new Bible? Write your Bible. Write your truth. Because that's what you're saying. You can't take a religion or a belief or a truth and make it into what you want it to be. Then it's not a truth. It's your truth now.
Well, isn't that kind of what they already did with the Bible and most scriptures around the world anyway?
Oh, well, no, that's what I'm saying. Even the first Bible was written by man. And for them to say it was written by God, what God wrote it? Even the Ten Commandments. Moses went up to the mountain, saw God, and these tablets were written. And the new movie out, which is really good, shows Moses carving the tablets. He was being told what to write. So yeah, I think we can upgrade what we believe about words, especially when we talk about psychic words and psychic abilities, because they all have different effects on people. They affect children when we tell children angels are real, or they're mind reading them. And when you start feeding children words, you need to give them the rest of the information about a word, especially when they start learning about psychic abilities or anything. Well, Mom, I saw this vision. Oh, no, it's a dream. I mean, I was told that all my childhood. The angels I met, oh, they're not real. Oh, see, because everybody moves in a different space in a different time frame in their spiritual growth. To believe that we can make everybody agree on something or accept something is ridiculous, because we're out of phase. It's like a motor. It's going through all these phases. But if you're in in stroke or outstroke or turning down or pulling up, you're in a different phase. Nobody in the other phase is going to understand the phase that you're in.
Kind of like, pardon me, kind of like asking a kindergartner to fill out a college thesis.
You know, I use that a lot. I said, because people say, oh, I'm spiritual. I said, how did you become spiritual? Well, I just did. Oh, you mean you went from kindergarten and graduated college? That's so great. I think all kids should do
It's
that.
amazing. I just happened to pick your analogy.
Well, I use that a lot because most people think that you don't have to go through training. And the different worlds of God or spirit, levels of awareness that soul goes through, needs growth in each one of them. Again, the average person, take them out of their body, stick them in the astral plane, they don't know how to move, they don't know how to do anything, and they don't know where to go or where they are even are. So those things have to be learned, and it takes lifetime after lifetime, and hopefully somewhere in that frame you decide to start moving forward. If you accept the idea planet Earth is heaven, this is everything, you don't need to go to school anymore. Why go to school? Because you're going to stay here and do the same things. You're going to farm, you're going to eat, you're going to go to the bathroom, you're going to take a shower, you're going to drive around, try to have fun, and that's all you're going to do. That's your life. So is that great enough for you? If it is, you don't need to unfold. You don't need to become a god. You don't need to become a spiritual being. Why? Well, I'm going to make everybody happy. No, everybody's never going to be happy on planet Earth. It's not made for that. It's not that planet. This one little speck of ball in this multi-universe has its own little thing to create before it moves into the next realm. So when we talk about these psychic abilities, I don't want to use all the time up too fast, but when we get into psychic abilities, how real are they? Getting back to astral projection, getting into remote viewing. A remote viewer is not even close to like 75% accurate. Sure, they can catch a glimmer of a color, of a car, of water, but they can't describe every single detail in that picture, even if they were supposedly there looking at it. And they come up with vague ideas of each one of them. I mean, training's getting better. People are getting a little more solid in what they could perceive and pick up. But if it was that true, you could project yourself inside a safe, watch them close the safe, and know the combination of the safe. But we really aren't that gifted. Most souls, I mean, there might be one or two somewhere. I didn't meet them. But again, those abilities. Okay, let's go to mind reading. I use the word empathic as another part of that as well. Being able to sense and understand somebody else's mind while they're thinking. Let's think about that. If I could tune into you and hear what you're saying to yourself, what you're thinking, would you be upset that I'm listening to you? Of course you would be. So just because you would be upset, does that mean I can't do it? Of course not. Can you build a wall that I can't do it? Of course you can. There's inner protection that people don't have, which they also need to learn, which protects them against things like that, which I try to teach people here and there when they're ready to listen. Because if a government tries to send a thought program at you, most people hear it inside their brain. But if you build a shield around that by spirit, protecting it with a shield of light and different things, it can't penetrate into the brain, it can't penetrate into your awareness. So yeah, there's a few souls that aren't pulled into government programming. I mean, people say you watch TV, you're programmed. You could listen to me and get programmed. You can listen to the Carnival Act and hear somebody talking and get programmed. You can get programmed by anything you allow yourself to. That's where soul needs to be aware of itself and realize it doesn't need anything it hears from here.
I've seen people get programmed to listening to music.
Well, music is... See, there's two levels to music.
My apologies. That was me. I had to clear my throat.
Music can take you into an altered state, which is good. If you're going into meditation and you're doing something and you want to get out of your body, it's a great place to go. But there is a place, where do you go from there? So drumming completely programs the brain. It stills it. That's why they use drumming. It was one of the first instruments ever created to control an energy. It builds energy. It can increase the energy. I mean, it kind of brings it into a balance at some levels as well. Voodoo used drumming a long time. I mean, back in the old days, they always used drumming sounds. And it pulls the thought because you hear thump, thump, thump. It relates to the heartbeat. Inside your body, you have a heartbeat, and you can hear it if you listen. And it relates to that, and it stills the consciousness in a lot of ways. So it's an opening for other things to penetrate or to start taking control over a person. So yeah, there's things that we deal with at so many levels, and we have no clue why we like music, why we dance when we hear music, and why we draw and why we draw the music and things. There's reasons, and soul's aware of it, and it tunes and it can follow that energy and things. Where the mind says, "Oh, that's a stupid looking picture. Oh, that's a cool picture," not realizing the energy around it, how it was created. Uh, I don't want to get too far because that's a critical thing when we talk about getting back to when we say reading a person's mind. Imagine walking down the street and hearing everybody walking next to you what they're saying and thinking. I did it for years, and I begged Spirit to take it away. I said, I can't deal with it no more. When you're looking at your teacher and you hear what she's really saying and thinking, and again, any psychic ability, you should always prove it to yourself that it's real and how real it is. Because for me, I asked one person every day what I felt and heard and stuff to make sure that it was real. And you would see their faces like go astonishment and say, "How do you know? Why you what?" And it throws them completely out of balance. So imagine I told everybody what they're thinking. Oh, you're thinking about killing someone. Oh, you're going to burn down your house. Oh, you're going to set your car on fire. Oh, who are you going to go with? And I mean, if you hit people up with their thoughts, they totally lose it. So it can be a very dangerous thing if you allow it to be that. Like I said, if you follow a good one and not harass people with it, you're going to be seeing life and what it really is. How people think, why people think the way they do, why they act because of what they think about. So yeah, it can become a great learning tool for a while. But there comes a point, like I said, for me, once you hear it over and over and over by every person, you don't need to hear it again. There comes a time when soul learns from something. I mean, you could stick your hand in the fire how many times? How many times does it usually take you to realize you're going to get burned? Maybe twice?
Boy, this is a day of weird events, I guess you'd call it, because first I'm using your analogies, now you're using mine. I can't tell you how many times I told my kids, how many times do you have to stick your hand on a hot fire before you figure out it burns?
Well, the average person has to do it every lifetime. They forget everything they learned in the lifetime before, and they come in this lifetime and they have to get burned to realize they're going to get burned. But what's good now, a lot of people are taking some things with them. Like they sit down in front of the piano, and they start playing the piano. Or they pick up an instrument and start playing it. They become aware of these things. So there's some things good coming. But the simple things that we say we come here to learn, like not burning your hand or punching somebody in the face or shooting somebody, all those things you think we could have learned it already. So when we go into mind reading and we hear people with their mind clutter going over these things over and saying things that are bad, and people say things good and bad in their thinking, fantasizing, and don't ever catch somebody fantasizing. You won't believe it's the same person you're looking at. So yeah, I didn't ask for it. I didn't say I want to be empathic. I just went out and suddenly I heard and felt everybody, and then I heard what they were thinking, and it became a nightmare. It was cool for a little while, very little while, listening to people saying, he's thinking about doing that. But the cool part, yeah, and you can't do it, and you shouldn't, confront them. I guess if you want to take their karma and be involved with karma, you could say, hey, you just asked, you talk to yourself about blowing up your own car. Oh, you thought about leaving your wife and picking up 2 hookers. I mean, say that to a person, and maybe they won't do it. Wow. I was really thinking that. Yeah, you were. So, and that's just one of the abilities of psychic abilities. And like I was telling, I was just mentioned before, we have over 125 definitions. 25 of them are pretty much mainstream that we deal with and can work with at a very minute level. All right, I can go into a bunch of them, but crystal ball gazing, a lot of people just thought that was like the person at the carnival doing readings for people. But it stemmed back into the churchhood. They kept the sphere inside the church behind the pulpit. Demonology worship and working with demons. It becomes a lifestyle, good or bad. What are you doing with it? What's it helping you do? What's it helping you become aware of? I mentioned already about divine rods. Now, people can use them to find water or gas lines, and they do it for real. I lived in New Jersey. The gas company the one guy that did it came out with these 2 steel bars in his hands, and he goes, oh, here's the gas line. And they would dig there without any other technology, and they would find the gas pipe. So yeah, there's people that use the tools wisely. I mean, if you're going out trying to find buried treasure with it, good luck. I mean, we have tools, but we need to learn to work with them right. And they all could be beneficial in some level, or we wouldn't have them. Extrasensory perception is the idea for the general thought of being able to sense something outside the normal. And when we go into the mind, it becomes into the mind reading and things. If it's going into the emotions, you can go into feelings and what the person's feeling. So there's different levels we can go with that. Something that I realized, this is a word, I just saw it today, fairy whispering. Remember ghost whisperer? Well, this is fairy whispering. Basically communicating and working with fairies. I met with them. I didn't actually work with them. I saw them and stuff. But people that try to work with them and get information from them. I always say, soul's moving forward. We're not moving backwards. Hopefully, but I mean, we kind of really are, but we should be moving forward. We need to step up from what we work with to something a little more advanced than what we work with. People don't stay in kindergarten to learn life. They move forward. If you work with the elementals, the nymphs, salamanders, the air, fire, water spirits, the tree people, the rock people, you'll get knowledge. Work with the animals, you'll get some kind of inner knowledge and understanding. But we're beyond that. Or we should be, but we're not. Too many people are holding on to those things. Just so you know, and this is for the world, anybody listening, fairies, and the gnomes and all those creatures are leaving. There's no place for them. They're being driven out of their homes greatly. Where do you want them to stay? In the desert? Most of them love trees, flowers, plants, and water. So when we talk about when we destroy a forest and put a city there, do you think they can stay there? No. And you think they all want to pile on top of each other? No, they like their little freedom. So a lot of them are leaving. So we're making those creatures leave the planet as well. And it's not, and I had direct experiences with all of them. And I met the head of the Chippewa Nation, the head medicine man. He came out to where I did all my UFO work. And we were doing this thing because they knew we were on holy ground. I said, well, there's nothing here. And after they did all this ceremony, they said all the souls are released. I said, yes, I know. I released them a long time ago. But in the interim, he told me, he says he's learning how to work with the little people. I did that 25 years ago when I met him. I said, I worked with them when I was young, and their teachings are limited. So here's a head of a tribal person to say that they're learning how to work with the little people now. I thought it was interesting because we need to move forward. We need to grow to higher gods and entities and beings. If you want to work with something, work with a deity. They're much more knowledgeable in everything. Not that they don't take everybody just because they want to go to them. They take people that are really rising to the occasion and able to move forward. So when we say, well, I work with everybody. Oh, really? What do they teach you? I'm spiritual. And what's that mean? Well, I'm a light being. And what's that mean? Well, I shine light everywhere I go. And what's that do? It just goes on. They make a sentence for another sentence to say nothing. What does a true light being? Send light to the world? Purify it? What are they purifying? Unconditional love, I think, is another abused word, should be in the realm of psychic abilities. Well, I send my love to the world unconditionally. Well, that's like not having a psychic ability because you're not doing anything. Oh, yes, I am. People want to believe that their mind and their thoughts are so powerful. Well, I pray to my plants and they get better. Well, you're close to your plant, you're working with the plant, you're feeding it water. I guess it gets a connection to you at some level. But when you talk about a tree on the other side of the world that's going to be cut down, I'm sending it love. Does it help the tree? Go to Oregon, where they slaughter these giant trees daily, and that's one of the biggest productions out of there. I lived there for a while, and it was sad to see these giant truckloads.
And a lot of these trees are being prayed for and sent love, and they're getting cut down anyway.
What?
Hello? You still with us, Tommy?
I'm still here. Sorry.
Something appears to be going on his end. I think he's doing something. I heard a feedback.
Can you hear me? Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but for a little while now, I've also heard a kind of like a hum on your end.
All right. Well, sorry about that. Hopefully it'll be all right for a couple more minutes. We're not too much longer, but getting back to the point of being empathic. You went from empathic to ESP, and then you start using your abilities to do things like doing exorcisms. I got involved with doing that. There's karma involved. You got to be aware of what you're doing. And then even for the point when you exercise something, where are you sending it? When people say, well, I got rid of the spirit that was haunting them, where do they send it? And is that spirit ready to go where you're sending it? People need to be much more aware of their abilities if they're going to use them. If you're going to use it wisely, you have to be really wisely aware of all the abilities that we do and create. So each step of the way, we grow, hopefully, and then we learn to use what we're getting in a better way. Another word that came out after the movie, Ghostbusting, I call it spirit freedom. When we used to free spirits when I was younger, and then the movie came out, Ghostbusting, so I used the word Ghostbusting. But you send them somewhere, and you just don't send them into a light. Do you know what the light is? Do you know what happens when they go through the light? Do you know the reason for them to go through the light? Oh, they're going to be better. Better in what way? See, man takes it on himself to think that everything he thinks is important, and then it has to be important for everybody else. But the sad part of that is it's not true. Let's try this word because I think it's really important. Levitation. A lot of people say they can levitate or they saw people levitate. Well, 99% is just stage magic. There was a special on TV about this llama in the mountains that could levitate.
Even Chris Angel showed how he did it.
Yeah. Well, there's multiple ways. I was a magician. There's like 10 different ways to levitate something. Even now, you can use a magnetic field to levitate something with a person on it. It takes a lot of money, and most magicians can't afford it, so that's not going to be used too common. But again, it's either a string, a metal bar, or something that levitates a person. So when this llama said he levitated, they went to him. He was sitting in his corner next to the wall, and he rose about an inch, and then he came down. But he never moved from that spot, ever. So, again, magic versus psychic abilities, it needs to be proven if somebody's supposed to believe it. If you can levitate, there's simple things to prove that you really levitate. I remember they said these llamas all levitate, and they bounce on the floor, and they rise like 2 feet, and then they bounce again, and they rise up 2 feet. And they just keep bouncing. Levitation in the magic world means making something rise, stay there for as long as you want, and then proving that it's up in the air, and then let it come down. But if it's real, I'm not saying it's not. If it's real, how far can you levitate something? I mean, how high? Can you keep it levitating forever and just keep it going? The further away from gravity, it should be getting easier and easier to levitate. So, again, if you can levitate a penny, you can levitate a car. If you can levitate a car, you can levitate a house or a building. So when we talk about these words, and like I said, psychic abilities on this planet are very weak. For my lifetime in Atlantis, when they were gifted, everybody had the abilities and can use them. Again, you knew what people thought. You couldn't lie. You couldn't cheat. You didn't. Levitation, you move things around. You didn't have to pick it up with your hands. But they were taken away for reasons. It takes one bad person. Like I said, if one person can turn invisible, if one person could levitate, Uh, so again, I'm having problems outside. I hear noise and stuff.
I was wondering what was going on. So tell me this then. Um, what was the reason it was taken away? I mean, was somebody abusing their gifts back then and got caught doing it, and they had to do it for the safety of everybody? He may not have heard that. As he's indicated, he's got something going on his end. I'm not sure what it
Well,
is.
it was basically they played with it. They played with laser light, laser energy, and destroyed something. So it was a matter of a few people, not the consciousness of everybody. Again, it's always one person. It's the story of the rotten apple. One
Right.
rotten apple can destroy the whole barrel. And in that interim, uh, there's nothing you can do about it. So again, if you take the rotten apple out before it does anything, the apples will stay fine. And it was beautiful in Atlantis. I wasn't there at the very end when it started getting destroyed. We have to realize that when it does, it changes everything for the good and for the bad. And it brought them down, took their abilities away. I mean, go to the Mayans. They talk about how spiritual the Mayans were, but they were still sacrificing children and they're killing people and stuff. So the concept, we lost our spiritual connection, our psychic abilities, and became more like trying to do it with our hands, like killing and blood and all that, rather than doing it at a spiritual level. So these words all relate to what we do with life and how we interfere with life. Psychic abilities, again, could be used wisely if anybody had them. And I talk to people, which bothers me, famous people, people on shows. Oh, I can do anything. Really? And then why aren't you? You're sitting there smoking, and what are you doing? You can go to the casino and win anytime you want. Why not win? Why not help the homeless? Why not do something that the rich people aren't doing? So it's sad to see the idea. Most psychics are charging anywhere from $50 to $1,000 for an hour, and they feel good about taking that money from a person. Well, I gave them something. You gave them what? Another idea, another belief to follow. What truth did you give them? They're going to hit $1 million lottery by playing the lottery, and they do. Well, that could be a lucky thing, but again, how many give a person something that's going to change their reality? And if you're going to pay that kind of money, it's people that go to psychics are usually people with problems, and they don't have money. People with lots of money don't have problems. Definitely not the same problems we have that don't have money. So, yeah, when their child dies or something like that, then they got a problem. But outside of that, they're flying, going wherever they want, can be anywhere they want, eat anything they want. So their problems are not like normal people, the middle class, the 90% of the planet that are starving and homeless and all those kind of things. So we break it down to what's psychic abilities? A bunch of lies in general. Oh, I go to a psychic. You know what he told me? Oh, he knew something. So what? Is he helping you? Is it really taking you to the next step in spiritual growth? If they tell you that your father's in heaven and saying hi, does it help somebody? Is it helping that person move forward? Everybody wants to hear something good. Hello. And it's so easy to tell somebody something good, whether it's real or not, especially when they can't prove it. When people go to psychics to get their past lives and stuff, oh, you were this, oh, you were that. Why would you want to believe them? Because they said so? We give faith and trust and our energy to anything we think is real. But I think if we knew it was real, we might not even do it.
Do you really think, though, that in a sense the psychics, the fake ones out there, kind of have to share their boat with the layman out there that's coming to them? I mean, how many of these people come up there and pay one psychic $300 to be told that your loved one is doing well in the spirit world and is thinking of you, only to turn around and pay another one another $300 just to hear the exact same thing?
Well, 90% of them are going to tell you that anyway.
Right.
You realize you're going to go to a psychic, and I was in a big site with all these top psychics, and they were debating, should you tell a person they're going to die? I said, if a person pays you for their information, you should tell them what you see, period. Or they wouldn't be paying you to tell them. I mean, I could go in my house and tell myself Superman and Israel, and all my family's there praying and watching me, protecting me. I don't need you to tell me that. All right. So to pay somebody to tell you something because they think so or they feel it is ridiculous. And like you said, they're all going to say the same thing. Not how many of them are going to say, "Oh, your father's up there. He wants to kill you. He's going to attack you for the rest of your lives." I mean, how many people would want to hear that or pay for that? Nobody.
And therein
So
lies the root of it. It's about the money.
it's about money for them, and for the poor person that really thinks they're going to get something for nothing. I mean, something for the money that they're putting out there. I feel sorry for them. Sure, you might get a little information like don't go on a trip, the boat's going to sink, and then you see the boat sinks. Or most people get that from what do you call it? Improvisation. I can't even say the word. Intuition, and they know that they can't go on that plane today, and they cancel their plane ticket, and then it crashes. All right, but when psychics don't tell you a lot of bad things because they say, well, they're not going to come to me to pay for bad things. They only hear good things, so they make these good stories up. Like they talk to all their family. Soul moves on. Soul doesn't stay there. People that pass over into the astral plane stay there for a period of time, and then they move on. If they stay there, they get a new mission. They get a new way to live and act and be. It's not like they're living on planet Earth again, or they wouldn't have to leave planet Earth. So to say I'm going to take them out of their world to come and say hi to me, they're already experiencing greater things. The closer you get to the higher realms, the more you experience and the greater it becomes. So as long as man is ignorant to that, they're going to take on what every psychic says. Well, I was a gladiator in my last life. All right, you had 100 lifetimes. Which one are they telling you? One of them? Then something that I know, when you work with psychics, they read the beings and entities around a person. And they like to step in and get read too as well. So when a psychic reads somebody and this entity steps inside them just to get read, it could come another story too if they're really that psychic. But they're not psychic enough to see that it's not the real person that they're reading. So I dealt with it so many levels. And sure, there's a very few out there, very important for the world. Most of them are trying to make money. And life's about money. And as long as people think money is like important, they're going to be working for it. And what happens is our society is making people think money is important. Not spiritual, not psychic abilities. Let's just take, lucid dreaming. I don't know how many people ever had it, ever experienced it. Not just daydreaming. Daydreaming is the aspect of it. Lucid dreaming means when you actually go into it and you go into a different level. Not like dreaming of going down the shore or going on a boat trip, but going into a different dimension. And then it becomes real and you're actually there partaking inside that realm. It's a great experience if you never had it. But the words that I want to get in a few other words real fast, but like morphing.
Well, before you do, there was one thing I was hoping you to finish up for, and that's about what happens to the bones in the wheelchair on those faith healings. You think you got time to slide that one in there too?
The bones of the people that get healed?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I was a born-again Christian for 1.5 years. I went to church 6 days a week. I watched multiple spiritual people, for a word, do these healings and whacking people on the head. You're healed in the name of Jesus, in the name of God, or whatever they use. People get up out of their wheelchair and they get hit on the head and they stand up. These are great things. But here's what people don't realize when they see that. There's a lot of fake implants, meaning people that are set up to do that, which is done in magic. When a person comes up and they do this, it's a person that's a stooge that's paid to come up to be a person that doesn't know him. But in the religious world, they pay people to come up to do the same thing. Then when they get these other people come up, they see that an energy gets created. When you have 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people, energy is so powerful. And it causes the adrenaline to flow through some people's bodies. And once adrenaline kicks into your body is immune to everything. Everything and anything for a short period of time. That's why people could pick up a car. A woman pick up a car because a kid was under it and things like that. The adrenaline goes through the body. It becomes super strong for a short period of time. Real fast, that energy comes out of a crystal that's inside the brain. That's one of the top newest technology, science, whatever. But when it happens, it lasts for a short time. These people, when they go back home, and then suddenly they fall down, break their bones even worse than they were, or they hurt their bones. Sure, some people say they have a healing for a couple years, but it's called temporary healing. The mind's still playing with it. Sooner or later, karma is the cause of all problems we experience, pain, suffering, and all those things, is paid off, it can go away. If the karma is not paid off, and having somebody else take it away doesn't eliminate karma. I mean, if that was true, imagine Jesus would have taken everybody's karma and all those people would have been free of karma. But it didn't happen. He never said that, but mankind created that. But getting back to these healers that do these immaculate healings on people, in front of people, even I did mass hypnosis. You bring 20 people up and you hypnotize them. Some of those people aren't hypnotized, but they'll play the game because they're in front of people now. And they don't want to look stupid, so they'll play the game and pretend, and they're doing things that they might not want to be able to do normally. Especially in colleges, they have adult hypnotists, which always is sexual and things like that. So yeah, kids would love to play the game, even if they're not hypnotized. So we got this really bad place between real and not real, and right and wrong. So when we deal with these healers, and they're all over the place, in other countries where they do these psychic healings, and they shove their fingers in their body and they pull out guts and stuff, and I could tell you, most of it is fake, completely. Keep whatever came out of that person, bring it to a lab, have it analyzed. You're going to see it's a chicken, a pig, or a cow, or something. It's not going to be human. If it's human, it would probably be a brain or something. Then they would have had to take it out of a morgue or something like that. And it still wouldn't have the same DNA as the person that supposedly had it fixed and taken out and all those things. It's a ridiculous thing. People believe it because people see it. People love to believe what they see, and that's why magic is still going strong. I was a magician for 25 years, and I just said, I don't want to fool people. And then I went into fire dancing, walking on glass, laying on a bed of nails, and all those kind of things because it was real. So when we deal with the psychic worlds, if you can make money, I can guarantee it loses a lot of the spiritual connection it has. I'm not saying there's a lot of spiritual people that do psychic work and healing work and stuff for free. I think they're much closer to being a real person because the second money gets involved, it takes away the energy that's there and it's fed into something else. So these psychic healers, which I met and dealt with, the last one I met when I actually walked away from being a born-again Christian, he said to the audience, I'm healing everybody of AIDS in this room right now. I'm going to heal everybody of all their problems right now. I said, oh, really? I didn't see anybody get healed. And then I heard people with all these problems and people that I knew in the church and things. They all were sick and they all had problems. So it's power of suggestion. The amazing Kreskin, I was 12 years old when I learned hypnosis from him, was teaching about the power of suggestion. He said Hitler was the greatest person on the planet for the power of suggestion, creating a thought, making people believe it and follow it. And psychic abilities is actually implanting a thought and people accept it. But it's not real, and sooner or later it'll fade away. Soul doesn't ever fade away, so when that program thought disappears, suddenly they're sick again, or they're back in the place where they were originally, dealing with the karma that they have to pay off. Karma is every individual soul's gift or burden, and each one of them has to learn to work with it and deal with it. It's not something you can give away. Psychic things in Atlantis was a lot different. Nobody was killing anybody. Nobody was hurting anybody. All those things didn't exist, rape and abuse and all that. That wasn't a real thing in that time frame. So their karma was limited. And I will say this, there were 9 races. And 5 of those races left because they were spiritual and didn't have to deal with this lower world anymore. They were able to go and expand into greater realities. And we all should be doing that. And now when they say we're going to become 6-dimensional, well, if you want to let go of the body, let go of planet Earth, you can be, if you want to call it a dimension, and kind of relate to it as that. Your astral body is beyond the 6th dimension. So why not die and go into the astral plane? but you just can't die, and you have to have the right to stay there, and you have to earn that. So when people talk about being spiritual, I'm healing people, I got a good place in heaven now. Are you healing the right people? What if you heal a murderer? What if you heal a rapist? What if you heal the wrong person? How do you know? You go to a hospital, somebody's dying. Just to show you how far it goes, Mother Teresa spent the last few years of her life going to prisons, trying to reform prisoners. In her manuscript, when she died, she said she truly doubts there's a God. Mother Teresa, I'm not making that up. You can find the facts on that. So being pulled into the darkness will slowly strip you of the light. If you think planet Earth isn't covered with darkness, not just TV, everything, everywhere, what relates to spiritual? You feed one child, well, hundreds and thousands are starving, and 100 die every half a day, whatever it is, or even more. So where are we going with the idea that we send unconditional love? What's it have to do with psychics? A lot, because most psychics believe in unconditional love. They believe in all these great words that New Age people use, and that's why they come to them, because they know that they're speaking their language, a language which was created to make mankind feel good. I hope that answered your question about that, because, like I said, I dealt with it, and I just was sad to see these people. And then later on, when they get put into the car, they fall down and things like that.
Yeah, it did, but we got 3 minutes remaining now.
No problem. I'm glad I got to what you wanted to hear anyway, because I didn't get to finish it on the other show. But it's always a pleasure to get with you. I think you're a great person, and I really hope you keep getting better, or at least stay in a good space of being able to do what you need to do. My love and light to you always, and it's glad to have me on again. And,
well, I'm always happy to have you on, Tommy. You're always a great guest, and now you're pretty damn good, or damn great host as well over there at Revolution Radio. When's your show over there again?
Well, I do a show on Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then I do a 2-hour show on Saturday from 1 to 3. And to me, that's my spiritual teaching. Last week I had a really great guest on. The week before I had a really great guest on. But I try to keep it myself and talk and teach. But when I have a really good guest lined up, I always try to bring them on. I don't get too many that often that I feel good. I won't bring anybody on my show that I don't feel 100% agreement with. And if I don't, after I have them on, I'll never have them on again. And that's the way I live my life. But it's always to bring out the truth. And I feel you've been doing it for a long time. I've been trying as long as I can as well.
Well, I got to tell you, you do something I've not been able to do yet, and that's do your show solo. I mean, you've been on my show, you've listened to my show. I do pretty doggone good when I have a guest. But boy, you put me up there by myself, I sound like an idiot.
Well, it's not a simple gift, and I'll say the only reason why I can do it because I tune into spirit when I do it. A lot of times I write 500. I'm not 500. I write 50 to 100 pages when I do my show, and I'm lucky if I ever get through 10 pages of it. So every time I do a workshop, or ready to do one, I write and write and write, and I put all notes up there, but I don't get to touch half of my notes. So again, it comes from somewhere, inner, outer, however you want to word it. It's not just my ego, and it's not just my mind. It comes from somewhere important, I feel, and it's always important to put it out there. So that's my trip, and I like doing it. I've been doing it for a while now, and I love doing it 2 hours myself. It's hard. It's not easy, especially when you know that you're responsible for giving somebody something when they listen to it. I don't like people to walk away with absolutely nothing, at least awareness to think a little harder about a lot of the things that they believe in. So yeah, it's always a step in the right direction, I feel, and it's only one way that I can do what I can, the best I can in the moment. I mean, if things change, I can be more creative and do more things, but I do about 6-7 shows a week now. I do about 4 shows with TJ. I do 2 of my own. So yeah, I'm busy, but like I have to move tomorrow. So TJ's going to fill in for me tomorrow, but it was a pleasure. My show is called Spiritual and Beyond on freedomslips.com. And then the shows I do with TJ is on Blog Talk Radio. It's TJ Morris ET Radio. But we talk about spiritual things on Sunday. We talk about aliens and ETs on ships and stuff on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We got different nights, but we do a lot. I'm not sure how long I can do all of them, but I do want to keep the two that I do up and running because I feel they're important. The same as you keep yours up. You fight your battles, but you still come back to try to do your show, which is incredible.
Yeah, I've been hanging in there for the last couple of years against uneven odds, but I have been hanging nonetheless.
Well, I'm glad you're still going, and it's always a pleasure.
It's
So,
always a pleasure. I mean, you've always been a good friend of mine, and we met over at Blog Talk Radio. You've been was a listener of mine over there for 3 or 4 or 5 years, I think. So we go back a ways.
yep. So, enjoy the rest of your day. It was a pleasure, and hope to speak to you soon. Then,
Okay, look, so see you too. Do you soon too? I'll probably have you back on again, not for too much longer. Back over there at Revolution, even.
sounds fine with me.
Okay.
Anytime.
Thanks a
All
lot,
right.
Bobby.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.